South Africa is bleeding jobs. Jobs are disappearing, farmers are struggling to survive, and skilled professionals are leaving the country. And yet the government under President Cyril Ramaphosa seems more focused on political optics than economic reality. Today, I would love us to discuss a story the media has not covered as much as it should be covering. And that links to how South Africa's policies on domestic exclusion, such as BEE, EEA, and quota and others, to mismanaged trade negotiations and poorly implemented BEE are hurting ordinary citizens and driving skilled labor out of the country. From the poultry sector crisis to the broader implications of trade policies and the Afrikaner refugee program, we shall connect the dots that too many people ignore. So let's get straight into it. The South African poultry industry is in trouble. For years, local farmers have faced unfair competition and rising costs, not because foreign countries are to blame, but because domestic policy failed to protect the industry. An agreement made in 2015 during trade negotiations allowed external products or producers to self-regulate poultry exports during disease outbreaks. The result? South African farmers absorb millions in losses while production struggles. During avian influenza outbreaks alone, the sector faced costs of nearly 9.5 billion rand. Meanwhile, local producers were excluded from crucial trade discussions. The very people who fed the nation, employ thousands, and stabilize prices had no voice in agreements that directly affect the livelihoods. The interesting thing is, people don't know this, but the agricultural sector is the cheapest form of creating employment. It's the cheapest employer to hate. So the government claims it supports local industries, yet its policies say otherwise. AGOA negotiations, tariff discussions, and anti-dumping measures are being handled in ways that leave South African producers exposed, weakening domestic industries and threatening food security. This is the core problem. The decisions that shape our markets are made without input from the people who actually make the economy function. Now, let's talk about BEE. Broad-based Black economic empowerment was intended to redress historical injustices, but today it functions as a tool of exclusion, particularly for white South Africans and the many Black South Africans that aren't politically connected. Small businesses, skilled entrepreneurs, and farmers often struggle to access capital or win government contracts because they don't fit the racial quotas or are not close to certain political figures or know key people. While politically connected entities thrive regardless of merit. The result? Productivity suffers, industrial growth slows, and many skilled South Africans, farmers, entrepreneurs, professionals leave the country, contributing to the Afrikaner refugee program and other immigration initiatives. This isn't just about fairness, it's about survival. Every professional or entrepreneur who leaves represents lost GDP, lost jobs, and lost expertise. And yet, Ramaphosa's government continues to double down on policies that exclude talent instead of harnessing it for growth. Several structural issues often go unnoticed. Thousands leave because the economy does not reward merit, productivity, or entrepreneurship, only political favor and the color of your skin. Meritocracy is undermined. Industries are slowed by inefficiency and reduced innovation. Industrial fragility. With fewer players able to compete, supply chains are weaker, domestic production is vulnerable. Food insecurity. Cheap imports and underprotected industries lead to job losses, supply shortages, and rising prices for everyday South Africans. These issues are interlinked. The policies that claim to empower certain groups often hurt the broader community, the broader economy, and weaken national resilience, leaving ordinary citizens to bear the brunt. Well, that's ANC style for it, to be honest. They ensure that everyone foots the bill, that the citizens will pay up for their mess. We've seen from allegations, allegedly, of them being funded by Iran, and now this Russian cargo plane that came. They're the ones that make South Africans' lives to be tough, because the West will obviously not support such. Trade isn't just about foreign countries. It's about domestic strategy. While AGOA and other agreements offer benefits, the government has repeatedly failed to protect local industries, leaving producers vulnerable and creating economic inefficiencies. Meanwhile, opportunities abound. The EU has increased trade with South Africa by 44% in the past 5 years. China's opening markets and offering duty-free access for African exports. BRICS and the African Continental Free Trade Agreement also offer some form of an alternative, but here's the hidden truth. South Africa is underperforming, not because external partners are hostile, but because domestic governance is failing. We have allies and markets ready to support us, such as the West, but policies that exclude talent, weaken industries, and ignore structural vulnerabilities prevent us from taking full advantage. Let's be honest. Starlink has been wanting to come to South Africa, including Tesla, but laws such as BEE make it a long drop for them to even consider starting to invest. Imagine giving away 30% of your company to God knows who. But let us look at it this way. South Africa, who has actually got a trade surplus with the US, has actually been abusing that relationship because, let's be quite honest, South Africa charges the US BEE, but doesn't charge countries such as India and China BEE. They are exempted for it. So Donald Trump had a point when he said the American market should be exempted from BEE. The consequences are stark, with local industries are undermined, jobs disappear, prices rise once domestic supply collapses, food security is threatened, skilled professionals leave, shrinking the talent pool. Programs like the Afrikaner initiative are a direct result of this mismanagement. These are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a government that prioritizes political optics over pragmatic economic policy. The solutions are clear. Include local industries in trade negotiations. Those who produce and employ must have a voice. Reform BEE to focus on skills, capital access, and merit for everyone rather than rigid racial quotas that exclude talent. Protect strategic industries, including agriculture and manufacturing, with enforceable support measures. Diversify trade aggressively. We should leverage on the EU as well as our other Western partners such as Australia, Ireland, and the US, not just aggressively rely on China, as well as BRICS, where we've got trade deficits and they take full advantage, killing industries in our own country. We should retain skilled labor by creating inclusive merit-based opportunities that incentivize South Africans to stay and invest in the country. If these steps are ignored, the country risks deeper economic decline, rising unemployment, and the future erosion its skilled workforce. So for those of you who have been keeping up with the news, you will remember that the South African government sent a trade envoy, which was Mcebisi Jonas. Didn't seem like he actually took off on that plane because he was found to be persona non grata by Emma Powell, the DA's former spokesperson on DIRCO. The interesting thing is, everyone who has seemed to speak to the US government from a citizen point of view, meaning outside of the ANC, has been called traitors. They've been called selling out against South Africa. But let's be honest, they are not selling out against South Africa. They are holding the ANC accountable. The bottom line is, South Africa still needs the US. Another point is, Donald Trump had a point when he created the Afrikaner refugee program. If we're quite honest, because why should we force Afrikaner to remain in South Africa, a country where their own government does not want them, a country where their own government excludes them from economic opportunities, from academic opportunities, from social opportunities? It is really a hustle and a big hurdle to be white in this country. South Africa is at a critical juncture. The policies under Ramaphosa's government have weakened the economy through domestic exclusion, trade mismanagement, and structural inefficiencies. From the poultry crisis to skill flight, BE missteps, and trade vulnerabilities are not isolated. They are interlinked and driven by poor governance choices. The question is simple. Will South Africa continue down this path of exclusion and mismanagement, or will it embrace inclusive economic strategies, merit-based empowerment, and strategic trade policies that benefit all citizens? This isn't a theoretical debate. It's about jobs, food security, economic stability, and the future of every South African. Ladies and gentlemen, the one thing to remember is our Western allies are the people that set up a lot of this infrastructure that you see in this country, from building Victorian buildings to building wonderful skyscrapers in Sandton and in Cape Town that have got Western aligned private companies. I don't see a Sputnik Russian skyscraper in Cape Town or Sandton. Let us just remember this. Let us remember those who are really for us and not those who seem to be for us but are actually against us. The Chinese came to South Africa. They killed the textile industry. They killed multiple industries. Let us not forget that. Let us not forget that we've got a trade deficit that goes into the billions of US dollars when it comes to China, but a trade surplus with the US. And we treat the US as a toilet, to be quite frank. Such can't continue. South Africa, we need to overlook these racial policies that keep us stagnant. We need to understand that we are one. Whether the cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice, that's what I care about. Industries are struggling. As we've seen, the poultry industry is struggling. A US envoy seems to be headed for America again, which seems to be from the VF Plus, the Vryheids Front. Let us hope that they do push a deal, because it seems like our minister in the Department of Trade and Industry and Cooperation has been struggling to get an agreement out because AGOA has stalled, and AGOA has actually not been refreshed, it has not been revisited, and the US don't seem like they will be renegotiating that with us. So things do seem grim for South Africa. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Let us share this episode far and wide. I can't emphasize the importance of sharing this episode far and wide. It really, really, really helps to push those numbers up. That's the least you could actually do for this channel, including subscribe. It is tedious making these videos because, with the busy life that keeps us occupied during the day, it's tedious to come back and make such videos, but I cannot appreciate you more enough than just watching this and sharing it with others, as well as you can support this channel financially by signing up to be a member or buying me a coffee in the super chats below. Till next time, stay safe, stay blessed, and God bless. See you soon.
Should I invest in your country or shouldn't I? How would you answer that particular investor?
That you can go and invest in India.
Or go somewhere else?
Yes.
Okay. So
No.
To an international investor, they contact you. They say, I am Mr. Big Shot from some country and I want to open a multi-billion-dollar factory in South Africa. I'm going to buy this land, which I've earmarked. I'm going to build a big factory, right? I'm going to employ thousands of people. But I need to know that nobody, not just you, but nobody could at some stage say, in the public interest, we might just want your big factory and your intellectual property. Can you guarantee me that you can't have it? Then he says, I'm going to bring in a lot of specialists, but I see that there's this employment equity tick box exercise, right, where I am being told who to hire, right? And I run companies all over the world, and nowhere am I told who I must hire. Should I invest in your country or shouldn't I? How would you answer that particular investor?
That you can go and invest in India.
So go somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay. So,
No.
Well, we can see why we've got a growth rate of 0.5, 0.6%.
No.
Okay. I think that's the.
No.
You've joined Dada Moreira as the other honest politician, because at least you've answered the question honestly.
If you are coming and now I see you're bidding for Starlink by Elon Musk.
I am.
You are. That's. You know, that's the anecdote that you're utilizing is that of the Starlink issue with Elon Musk.
Okay.
I'm saying here that anyone who wants to come and invest in South Africa must abide by the South African Constitution and the laws of the country. Any self-respecting country does that.
Okay.
That's not unique to an ANC-led government of national unity. It's just what it is.
And therefore, with that, by that same logic, we must just be happy with no growth, economic growth. Because that's how it's manifested.
We must have growth.
Where's it going to come from?
And specifically inclusive.
Where's it going to come from?
Inclusive economic growth.
Where's it going to come from?
It's going to come from infrastructure development. Read the entire budget.
We've read the
Mike,
budget.
You've not read. Let me pay.